What if I told you you could hit dominate in forehand just like this by mastering 8 simple steps? In today's forehand lesson, I will show you those exact 8 stages that every single professional player uses to dominate with their forehand. And within just the next 30 minutes, you will know exactly how to go out by yourself and implement these stages into your own forehand using some of my favorite drills I've learned over the last 10 years. Also, make sure you stick around to the end of the video where I'm going to show you a secret move around contact that the pros use for more topspin and power. Before we get started with the video today, I just want to say that I'm currently in Bristol, which is a little bit of a different location for me. Usually I'm in cloudy Wales, but today I'm very fortunate because this fantastic venue here, Coombe Dingle Sports Centre, has allowed me to use their courts. And they've got a fantastic selection of outdoor courts, but also indoor. And they've also got a range of other sports here. It's a really cool venue. So if you're in the area in Bristol, definitely come check out this venue. It's definitely worth it. The first thing you need to get right if you want to go out and learn a good forehand is the grips. You need to make sure that you're on an acceptable grip, otherwise everything else is going to break down. So the first thing you have to understand about the tennis racket, okay, is every racket will have 8 bevels on the racket. And if I come up close here, you'll see that bevel number 1 is the top bevel. So see how the bevel, it lines up with the edge of the frame. That's bevel number 1. Now, going in a clockwise manner, it goes bevel 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And every racket will have these 8 bevels on it. And it's very important that you become aware of these bevels and where they are. Now that you're aware of the bevels, the main bevels you have to be conscious of for your forehand is bevel 3, which is called the Eastern forehand grip, and bevel 4, which is called the semi-Western. Anything within these 2 bevels is an acceptable forehand grip. Okay, that's very important. The areas you want to avoid on the bevel system is when you go too far up towards bevel 2. So this is here, the side bevel, this is the continental. And also if we go over to the other direction to bevel 5. Now the next thing is all about the 2 reference points you have on your hand. And these reference points are essentially going to allow you to find the grip very easily. Okay, so what are those reference points? If we look at my hand here, I've gone and I've actually drawn in the 2 reference points on my hand. And those are the index knuckle. As you can see, I've drawn an X here on the index knuckle, and also my heel pad. So I have these 2 main reference points, okay? Very important you become aware of these. What I've also done is I've drawn a line here on the side of my index knuckle. This is going to be a visual aid because now you're going to be connecting this line up onto the lines I've drawn on the grip. As you can see here on bevel 3 and bevel 4, you see these middle lines? The middle lines represent the middle of each bevel, okay? So the basic grip I would recommend for beginners, if you just started, go with bevel 3. So this is bevel 3, the Eastern forehand. I'll show you from this angle. This is bevel 3 right here. Lines up with the string face. Okay. Now, how do you go about finding the grip? What you do now is you essentially connect the dots. So the first thing I'm going to do is connect the X on my heel pad up with bevel 3, with the middle. As you can see right there. Now I'm going to bring the index knuckle up and see how when I go up to here, look at the lines. See how they connect in here. And now I've found bevel 3. So one more time, you can take it back off and then check again. Connect the heel pad, then bring the X up on the index knuckle, connect with 3. And there you have the Eastern forehand grip. If you're using bevel 4, again, same thing. You just connect the X with bevel 4 and the X with bevel 4 on both sides. And that's essentially how you go about finding the grip. Now that we have your grip set, it's now time to move on to the next stage, which is all about your preparation. Now, before we even talk about the preparation, the first thing you need to get in place is what we call your ready position. Now, what is the ready position and how should it look? The first thing you're going to see in your ready position is your feet should be around 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart. Very important that you have a wide athletic foundation. The next thing you're going to see from the side angle, my elbows are out and away from my body, as you can see here. The most common issue we see with players is the elbows are tucked in, and then when they start to prepare, they activate the arms back behind them. And then the last couple of things, push your hips slightly back and roll the weight slightly up onto your toes. This is your ready position. So once you've got your ready position set, what happens next? The next thing that's going to happen From here, I anticipate the ball is coming to my forehand, and I'm going to initiate the preparation by turning my shoulders away from my target. And if you look at this very closely, see how my arms are doing very little. I'm just keeping the non-dominant hand connected to the racket and now just turning the shoulders away. And you should turn to a point where, looking from the side angle, see how my non-dominant arm is now parallel with the baseline. And at this point, I've completed my preparation and unit turn, as you can see right here. Now on screen right now, you can see some incorrect preparations, and look at the difference. See how it's not an upper body movement, it's more with the arm. Now, why is this an issue when you just activate the arm by itself? The first thing that happens when players don't prepare with the upper body and they just use the arm, the backswing becomes too big. So see how the racket has gone way back behind my body. And now it has too much distance to cover to get to contact, and you're most likely going to end up being late around contact, which is a very common issue which we want to avoid. The second thing this causes, when I just prepare with my arm by itself, I now cause a desync between my hitting arm and the rest of my body. What do I mean by that? I mean that I'm now not going to be able to get any power from the body. I'm most likely now going to just swing with the arm alone. So I now eliminate all the power source coming from the kinetic chain. And as you'll see later in this video, the kinetic chain is a vital component for your forehand to develop not only power, but also consistency. Now, after you've completed your preparation and unit turn, what should it look like at the end? At the end of this preparation, you'll be in a position where the weight is going to be loaded over the outside leg. I can change the stances here. I can go from an open to semi-open to neutral. So this applies to all stances. The next thing you're going to see is my arm structure. If you look at my arm structure, my elbow is still raised away from my body. My wrist is slightly cocked. That means the tip of the racket will point slightly up to the right side. And I have this good stable structure. Also see how both hands are remained on the hitting side of my body. So I haven't gone too far back behind me. I'm still in this good position here. And then one last thing, looking from the side angle, you can see that non-dominant arm is out, parallel with the baseline. The reason that is so important, it makes sure that my upper body is turned sufficiently. And again, later in the video, we'll talk about why this is so important to turn your upper body. Now that we have a good understanding of the theory of the preparation and unit turn, how can we go about working on it? What I'm going to do is just show you my favorite drill for each of these phases of the forehand. And for the preparation, what you can do is put your racket down, set up in your ready position, so get the feet 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart, but now cross your arms along your chest, as you can see right here. Now what I'm going to do from here is simply turn the shoulders away from the target to the point where my shoulders should now line up with the right side fence for a right-handed player, left side fence for a left-handed player. And just do that several times where you just turn over that outside leg and use hold. And what you should try to start to tap into is how it's an upper body movement. Watch a few more times. Turn, hold. One more. Turn, hold. Now from here, after I've turned to this position, I can now step forward and imagine I'm swinging. Watch that one more time. I turn, step forward, swing. And then the last phase, you can add the racket back in your hand, get to your ready position again, elbows out and away this time. And what you want to do is just do the turn first. So turn the shoulders away and stop and feel this position. Do that a few times. From here, reset back, turn. Feel the arms are doing very little. It's just the upper body preparation. Now from here, you step forward and swing. Now let's move on to stage 4 of a good forehand, and that relates to your swing path. Now your swing path on the forehand is very important, and for this video I'm going to split it into 2 segments, okay? The first segment, or the first principle, is a basic principle you'll see with all the topspin ground strokes, and that is once they've completed their preparation at the end of the unit turn, the swing path is going to be a high, so they start high just around shoulder level, then they go low, then they go back high. So the swing path is a basic high, low, high swing. Now why is it a high, low, high swing? The reason you want to develop this high, low, high swing shape is because tennis is a lifting game. What do I mean by that? If we were to look at the net from the baseline, Because we can see through the net, we can see the entire other side of the court. Now, if I was to black out that net completely, what part of the court would you see? Look on the screen right now. I'll black out the net and tell me which part of the court you see. As you can see pretty much nothing of the other side. So that tells us that we have to lift this ball up over that net. So what should you focus on when you're working on this high, low, high swing shape? Once you've completed your preparation and unit turn and you're set up, I'm just going to show you from a neutral stance for the time being. Once you're here, you should feel that the hands and racket are just below shoulder level. Okay? When I say high, you don't want to go too high to where you break shoulder level. Definitely keep it just around shoulder level at this point. Now from here, let gravity take over and let the racket fall down. And when I fall down, I'm falling into what we call the slot position. We'll cover the slot position a little bit more detail in a few minutes. But now it falls down low. Now when we say low, what does that mean? We always reference it to the incoming ball. You want to make sure that you get your racket and hand beneath the level of the incoming ball. Now how much? Exaggerate. Feel that it's at least 1 foot beneath the level of the incoming ball. That's a good exaggeration. Now once you've got beneath the level of the incoming ball, providing you have the right grip, you now lift back high. And by achieving this high, low, high swing, what are you going to start to get in terms of ball flight? You're going to get topspin. And remember, that's when the ball rotates end over end, and that will allow the ball to clear the net with more net clearance, but also dip back into the court, which will give you safety and allow you to be a lot more consistent on the court. Now let's move on to the second principle of the swing path, and that is what we call the inside-out segment. Now, the inside-out swing is a major power generator on your forehand, and it's because you get a lot more leverage and a lot more racket head speed when you achieve it. But what is the inside-out swing? What this essentially means, if we relate it now to that high, low, high swing, what you're going to do, you'll be at the end of your preparation. Now the racket and hand will fall down into the low segment. Now, when it falls down here, we referenced it earlier, this is what we call your slot position. Now, what are the keys about the slot? The first thing you see, the racket and hand are on the inside position. They're close to my body, as you can see here. Most players, what they do is they get the contrary. They are too far away from the body in the slot. Okay? So you want to be nice and low in this slot position. Now, the next thing you see, my racket face is sufficiently closed. It's closed at approximately a 30-degree angle to the ground. That's a good guideline. My butt cap is pointing towards my intended point of contact, and this is what we call the inside slot position. Now, from here, what am I going to do? I'm going to swing from inside or from close to my body to away from my body. So when I swing to contact, watch closely how my racket and hand, they move out and away from my body, here. And now I'm swinging on the outer circumference, which means I have a longer lever, which is going to give me more racket head speed, but also it's going to help my racket move in a true low to high manner around contact, which will help me generate that topspin. Now, here is my favorite drill to help you work on the swing path, and it'll help you combine both elements, the high, low, high circular swing, but also the inside-out swing. Now, the drill is essentially, in the cell feed, what you're going to do, you'll toss the ball up and you'll give the ball just a little bit more height. And by doing this, your objective is you're going to swing underneath the ball. Now, by swinging underneath, what's it going to force me to do? It's going to force me to get low and below.